My friends, I would surmise that most of us listening and watching today think of ourselves as law-abiding citizens. We have never committed murder or rape. We have never robbed a bank or convenience store. We have never been charged with any of those major crimes that we read about in the newspaper or see on the 6 o'clock news. Most of us have probably gotten nothing more than a traffic ticket. Our nation would be a lot better off if there were more people like you and me. The question is, do we really know what it means to be a law-abiding citizen? Can we truly say that we respect the law of God and the laws of this land? Perhaps we need to re-examine our thinking in light of what Jesus is saying in today's gospel. It was his contention that a person can live by the letter of the law and completely violate the spirit of the law. Now let's apply that thinking to a very simple matter. Let's use our traffic laws, for example. Now, the legal limit in most city streets is 35 miles an hour. Now, this means that a person can drive at that speed and still be within the legal limits of the law. But let's suppose that that street happens to be in a residential area and that it's somewhat narrow and there are cars parked on either side and children are playing on the street. To drive a car 35 miles an hour down that street is legal, but it could be absolutely dangerous and criminal. It would violate the very spirit of safety for which the law was written. Now, Jesus was saying that a person can violate the laws of God in much the same way. Look at the commandment, "You shall not commit murder." Now, legally speaking, a person can live within the letter of the law by never taking the life of another human being. But that wasn't good enough for Jesus. He believed that the purpose behind the commandment was to protect and preserve the very sacredness and dignity of all human life. We don't have to use a gun or a knife or a weapon to destroy another human being. We can do it in more subtle ways. How many times have we turned our senseless anger upon another person? How many times have we stabbed them with abusive words? How many times have we treated another person with contempt or hate? In the eyes of Jesus, that was a violation of the very sacredness of human life, just as surely as it was murder. Jesus also applied that principle in the areas of sex and marriage. "You shall not commit adultery," he said. Now, legally speaking, we can live within the letter of the law by never becoming sexually involved with anyone other than your spouse. But for Jesus, that wasn't good enough. A man can treat a woman like a sex object and attack her personal worth with lewd and suggestive remarks. People are not objects to be used. People are not mere things. Love cannot be taken. It can only be given and received. Anything other than that adulterates a relationship. Jesus also applied that principle in the area of truth. Now, when a person testifies in court, we say that they are under oath. If they fail to tell the truth, we call it perjury. But put that same person on the street, and they can lie through their teeth. And because they are not under oath, we say it's okay. If a person signs a contract, we say that they are obligated. But if someone gives us their word, then that's a whole different matter. Now Jesus saw the shame of it all and said, "Look, why don't you just forget all of this and tell the truth? If you say yes, then mean yes. And if you say no, let it mean no. If you give a person your word, then keep it." So in the end, we call ourselves law-abiding citizens. We may have never been charged with a crime, but when we examine our actions in light of the spirit of the law, then that's another matter. May we measure our lives by Jesus' standards and be challenged to live by his Spirit.